South Korea has been crushing it recently when it comes to popular culture. In the wake of the phenomenal success of Squid Game and Parasite comes the latest hit, a zombie series entitled All of Us Are Dead, which follows a group of high school students who find themselves trapped on campus in the midst of a zombie apocalypse. After topping the charts on Netflix in over 25 countries in January, All of Us Are Dead reached the summit of the daily top 10 list on Netflix in the US. The show's success is mostly down to its production, deft script writing, pacing, and acting. But there is a slightly shady element tucked within it too. Allow me to explain. Historically, when you get down to it, horror genres have always had a not-so-subtle subtext of sexual desire and satiation. This was especially important when many of these genres were developing, during the prim Victorian age, when sexuality had to be carefully coded. That's why Bram Stoker's Dracula was such a hit. A masculine, debonair count who would go into a delirium of desire at the sight of a woman's bare neck, have her swoon into a trance with his very presence, and then lunge upon her in a cathartic, frenzied physical moment, penetrating with his teeth while she lay limp and submissive, or writhed sensually. It's no coincidence, therefore, that vampires have always been depicted as masculine and charismatic, with a heavy sexual connotation. Zombies were slightly different, lurching and mindless, more of a metaphor for the numbing banality of modern life, or the deadening nature of consumerism. But in more recent times they became agile, heightened, more clearly predatory, with a raw, insatiable instinct to rush at people, subdue them, and primally gorge on their exposed flesh. There's the same cathartic, frenzied physical moment, grislier, but similar. In recent years there has also been a kind of movement towards more self-aware and motivated zombies, even zombie hierarchies, a trend that brings zombies a few steps closer to the sexual undercurrent of vampirism. Think the Zombie King, or Alpha Zombie, in Army of the Dead. This show takes the lurid sexual fetishism nested within the paranormal and partners it with that other modern lurid fetishism, Korean schoolgirls. The Lolitaization of school uniforms as costumes for female K-pop idols, and in the culture at large, is an old issue in South Korean education and culture, often goes uncriticized, and for better or worse, is one of the things most superficially synonymous with South Korean pop culture overseas. The partnering of the subtext in paranormal horror of sexual assault, groping, insatiable lust, and aggressive lunging with Korean girls in short skirts was probably only a matter of time, and encapsulates much of the fetishized sexual morbidity, tensions around societal decay, and appreciation of the gratuitous that are the hallmarks of the modern age. Oh, go on, get uptight and counter by pointing out the quality script, cinematography, acting, production values, etc. You could even suggest that perhaps I have some kind of morbid preoccupation with the topic. Okay, now tell me there's no implication or subtext in the slightest to this scene. Korean teenage girls tend to be compromised in two ways. The image that is expected from the school authority figures and their parents, diligent, sexually innocent, and hard-working, and a very different expectation from the corporate and entertainment world, where young girls are expected to be attractive, sexual, and pleasant. Things got so absurd that a few years ago President Moon Jae-in ordered his staff to change the uniform design to something more practical. In 2015, the CEO of one of South Korea's biggest entertainment agencies appeared in a school uniform campaign with his newest girl group. This particular ad promoted skin-tight skirts and corset jackets while using the highly controversial slogan, "Let's see who looks skinnier." A lot has been written about this phenomenon in relation to Korean pop culture in which sexy concepts are almost entirely absent in favor of schoolgirl concepts, with some suggesting that this is to get around the taboo of sex and skin exposure in conservative cultures. I'm not saying that the production crew aren't good people, they're obviously great. I'm just suggesting that the schoolgirls are highly sexualized in the show, with a mordant, half-conscious hint of sexual predation tucked in among the literal grisly deaths. And it would be prudish and just plain dumb to suggest the show was a smash ratings hit globally, purely on its acting, production, or originality.